Hey guys, welcome back to the Summer Rain channel. I'm really excited for this video. It's way different than anything I've done before. So I was putting together my formula today because I want to do a hydrating hand wash, and I got to thinking, why don't I take you through the process with me? Like, how do I create a formula, and then how do I convert that formula into a recipe? And it occurred to me that I never really explained the difference between the two. So a formula is going to be all of the ingredients and they're listed as a percentage. So maybe you have avocado oil at 4% and, etc. And at the end, it's going to equal up to 100%. So that's your full formula. Whereas a recipe is going to be like in ounces or grams or something like that. The reason why I provide both is, number one, a formula is easier to size. So if you want to make 5 ounces or 50 ounces, it's going to be super easy to convert over if you have the formula, where a recipe is going to be a little bit different. Another reason why it's good to have the formula is a lot of times fragrance oils are not going to have the same use rate. So maybe I'm using one that's at like a 4% and yours is at 2 or at 6. You should know how to swap that out and how to fix the formula so you can make your own recipe. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy learning how I make a formula and how I set it up and then how to convert it to a recipe. I think that is going to be really beneficial for you moving forward as you learn to make your own products. So let's dive right in. Right now I'm going to formulate a hand soap. So I kind of just wanted to show you how I make a formula and then how you take a formula and you convert it into a recipe. So this is going to be for a hand soap. And I start out by listing my ingredients, so we know we need distilled water, we're going to add vegetable glycerin, and I'm just going to call this phase A. So in phase B, I'm going to put some avocado oil. And to that, I'm going to mix in some xanthan gum. Now I do this so we don't wind up with fish eggs. That helps disperse the xanthan gum. So try to think about that when you're listing out your ingredients. I like to go from like where I would start when I was making it straight down, so it's exactly like a recipe. You go right in order. And then we'll go to phase C. And I'm going to do 2 surfactants. So that's my first surfactant. There's my second. And then the fragrance oil that I'm using, and then we also need a preservative. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fill in the percents that I know. So this is where I'm going to put the percents, and it should total up to be 100%. So I know that my vegetable glycerin, I want to use about 4%. My avocado oil, I'm going to use about 5%. And I use both of these because I want this to be a hydrating hand wash. Xanthan gum, I'm going to use at about 1.7%. You can use this up to 2%. Because we're making a hand wash and we need it thick, I know I need this pretty high. Both of my surfactants, I'm going to go ahead and use at 10%. The fragrance oil is always an unknown factor. So for this fragrance oil, it has a really high use rate. So it's 6.6%, but I've seen it as low as like 1 or 2%. So this is often where you need to change a formula. And then my preservative, I'm going to put at 1.5%. So what you want to do is go ahead, add up these percentages, and this right now brings us to 38.8%. We know that we need to be at 100. So that leaves us with 61.2%, and that's where you find how much water you're going to need. So oftentimes when you're looking at a formula, you'll notice that the water is some random percentage, and we normally just do the percent that we need to get exactly to 100. So right here is your formula. Now let me show you how we can convert this into a recipe. So what I'm going to do is, let's just do it for 9 ounces. And the cool thing about converting a formula to a recipe is you can make it as big or as small as you want to. You can also use whatever unit of measurement you want. So I like to work in ounces, but say you are working in grams, you can certainly convert it exactly the same way. So if we do 9 times 61.2%, that's going to give us 5.5 ounces. And we just continue down the line doing this. And there is a little bit of rounding in here. I go to 2 decimal places. You can round a little bit more if you'd like. And this actually brings us to 8.99 ounces. The only reason why we're not exactly at 9 is because of the rounding that I used right here. So just for fun, let's go ahead and I'm going to write this out, and then we will change our fragrance oil percentage so I can show you how it would change the recipe and the formula. So I wrote this out again, but I did it with a bergamot and mandarin fragrance oil, which has a use rate of 4.1%. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest of these. And then the same thing, I'm going to go ahead and add those up. And that gets us 36.3. And if we subtract that from 100, we get 63.7. So that will be our water. 63.7%. Now in the one that we had before, our water was 61.2%. So that's how you easily swap out a fragrance oil. And then to convert this over to a recipe, you would do the exact same thing. So I'm going to do this, I don't know, I'll do 200 grams just for fun. And that brings us to 200 grams if you add all of those up. So I really hope this helps you, and I hope it kind of makes you understand a little bit more why I put everything into a formula. And that's really so you can easily convert it into the unit of measurement that you would like. And then also if you have to swap something out, it makes it a lot easier to do when you start out with a formula versus having a recipe. I mean, unless if it's an easy swap, like say you had the exact same fragrance oil. You had this bergamot and mandarin fragrance oil, and the only thing you wanted to swap was the avocado oil, and you were to be using olive oil instead, that would be just a straightforward swap. So you wouldn't have to even worry about changing their percentages, but sometimes you do. So say your fragrance oil is 2%, what's that going to do to how much water you need to use to make your hand wash? I hope this clears it up a little bit. Bye.